Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Government and Criminal Justice Research Workshop. I'm Denise Crews. You can call me Denise or Dr. Crews. And I just welcome you to jot down my email, which I'll share with you in a second, because you can email me at any time with questions about what I talk about or help with research, or just any quick question you have about the library or any long question you have. So part of my job is to just be accessible to you. So I want to emphasize that I'm here to help with finding a source or with helping with a difficult topic or anything you might need that relates to research. Today, this is a new thing. We're trying to do workshops more focused on a specific subject. So hopefully that will help you. I'm thinking a lot of you are probably government or criminal justice majors, or you might be in grad school. So really happy to see you all here. If you want to introduce yourself in the chat and maybe what program you're in, maybe where you heard about this workshop, and maybe a topic that you're interested in researching or that you're working on now, or a question you have about the library, that will help me kind of know what you're looking for and give me some sample topics to work with. So if you want to chime in on chat, feel free to do that. And just great to meet you all. So I'm going to get started. I'm going to just share a few general background things about library research and then get into showing you some tricks with the databases and with the tools that will save you time and help you with your research. So hopefully, you know, even if you're a seasoned researcher, you might learn a few things for that you might not know about, maybe some new tools we have and things like that. So I'm going to just share my screen, and because I'm going to share my screen, it might be hard for me to see notifications and things like that. So I'd ask you to keep your mic muted. You can see like there's noise coming from somebody's mic right now. But if you need to turn it on to say something to me to get my attention, feel free to do that. All right, great. So I see some people are chiming in, which is great. I'm gonna just share my screen. And you can see my name there, and my email is dcrews@regent.edu. So that's dcrews@regent.edu. So first thing I want to start with is why use the library. I know some students are a little hesitant because they don't know where to start, or they think the internet has everything they need. So I want to give a rationale first. The library has a huge amount of resources that are paid for by your tuition. We have about 400 subscription databases. We have over 1 million ebooks. We have millions of academic journal articles. And a lot of that is not available on the internet for free. So I recommend that you take advantage of it while you're here and you have that access as a student or a faculty member or staff member. We also have high quality resources. So you're going to find a lot of academic research that you might not find on the internet. We have our resources are organized. So that's point number 3 here. So they're easy to find. They're findable because we have high-tech tools to find them, and they're easy to cite. We have tools to help you save time with citations as well. I tried to set this meeting so that it would allow you in without me having to allow you in. So just let me know. Hopefully no one is waiting to be let in. So I recommend doing research in a lot of different places to get a thorough view of your topic. So start with Primo, which is our comprehensive search system. It's also your library account page where you sign in, and then go to databases, which are focused on your subject. And the way that you find the databases are through your research guides. So I'm going to show you your research guides for government and criminal justice, and then you can save those to your browser, and then you can always have easy access to those databases. I also recommend using Google Scholar and linking it to our library, and using the internet strategically, and using it in conjunction with a special tool that we have called the LibKey Nomad, which helps you link to library sources from the internet. Primo, which is our main library search, has a lot of really great tools within it. And I'm not going to list these all right now because I'm going to show them to you in a minute. But just to kind of give you an idea of all the great tools that we have for research in Primo. And that's one reason I recommend always trying Primo in addition to your criminal justice or government databases. We also have some really great tech tools like LibKey, Nomad, which I just mentioned, RefWorks, Browsine, reading lists, the librarian chat, and the lib calendar. In addition to special tools within the databases, like ProQuest has a bookshelf where you can save ebooks and take notes on them. So there's a lot of great tools, and I'm going to try to cover those. But if you have any questions about specific ones, be sure to let me know. And then we have some really great databases that you might not know about. We have, for example, one called Factiva, where you can read the daily papers and search the up-to-the-minute daily news of all major papers. We have one called Statista, which is statistics and reports, which can be helpful for government or criminal justice. And then several other great databases here. And we also have research guides, which I'll show you in a minute. And one thing that is important to understand for a foundation for research is finding a credible source. So that's what I'm going to focus on, is how do we know if a source we're looking at is believable or trustworthy? One way is if it's academic. So that's the first category here. And that's sometimes called peer-reviewed or scholarly source. And those are usually journal articles or books or book chapters. It could also be reference books like encyclopedias and dictionaries. And then we have primary sources, which are historical documents and laws and things out from the culture that we would analyze, like so maybe like a Supreme Court case, the actual decision of it, or you know, social media post or something could even be a primary source for understanding people's viewpoints. And then popular sources like magazines and newspapers that are credible. So we will look at how to find all of those. One thing that people ask about lately is AI. AI can be a useful tool for research. It can help you learn about your topic, get ideas, learn terminology. That's the main reason I use it. But you don't want to use it to write, obviously, and you'll get in trouble for plagiarism usually. And so you don't want to use it to write for you or even think for you. You want to use it to just learn some terms, learn some background if you use it at all. You don't have to use it. But if you get an idea from AI, you need to research it elsewhere to find a valid source for the information and cite that source. And then just a spotlight on our topic today, which is government and criminology studies. There's a lot on the internet when you're researching anything for the government or crime. For example, there's free archives online of primary sources. There's government websites. There's think tanks and nonprofits that do research on crime and political issues. The government provides a lot of statistics on crime, for example. And then our faculty here at Regent is a great resource. They have a lot of great books, ebooks, and articles by them. And often they're from a Christian perspective. And so they can be really helpful and really unique sources. And also emailing faculty for advice or doing an interview with them can be really helpful. And so as I show you some examples, I'm going to ask that you think about bookmarking some of these pages. I can't tell you what to do, but I'll just suggest a few pages that I think would be helpful to bookmark on your browser so that you can find them later. All right, so let's see. All right, so I guess everyone is able to get into the meeting. I don't fully understand that because it was saying before I had to admit people, so I don't know. That's something I have a question about, but hopefully everyone was able to get in while I was doing that. Sure, I can share them. When I send an email after, I'll send the video and the PowerPoint. Okay, so we have, thank you for introducing yourselves. A lot of people doing national security and homeland security. Great, nice to see you all. So far, I've just given you sort of a rationale for why to use the library and just kind of a little taste of a few of the tools that we have. And one thing I'll just point out is that I do appointments with students every single day. So I'm glad to work with you on this individually. I'll show you all these things again. I'll work with you on your specific topic. if that helps, and I can work in person or online. And so let's start with, I'm going to focus on your research guides today. So when you're in a course in Canvas, sometimes the professor will make visible the library resources link, and it will lead right to your research guide. It's not always visible. We're trying to work with IT to make it more visible, but even if you don't have that link, you can find it yourself. You can just Google Regent University Government Research Guide. So I'll show you how to do that. So if I just look up Regent University Government Research Guide or Criminal Justice Guide, notice it's the first thing that comes up here, okay? And so I recommend saving this. See, I've got a lot of them bookmarked up here. A lot of them are research guides because they are kind of a one-stop shop for everything that you're going to need. So if you don't want to forget any of these things or forget how to access them, it's a great thing to bookmark. So here's the government research guide, and then here's the criminal justice research guide right here. And there's some crossover between these two. So those of you that are doing national security, and we also have a cybersecurity research guide, so you could use all of those, and they might have databases that are helpful to you. Because, we all know that our discipline doesn't just stay within its lines, right? Sometimes we cross over with other people's disciplines. So that, that's a good thing to remember. All right, so the first thing that I want to show you is using Primo. So Primo Library Search is the first thing here in both guides, as just kind of a remember. It also has an easy name to remember, Primo, which means first, to try it first. So Primo is comprehensive, meaning it searches everything the library has. So that's good and bad. It's good because it casts a wide net and makes sure you're not missing anything, but it can be bad in that it can scare people because they see so many sources coming up and they don't know how to sort through them, and they see a lot of irrelevant sources or sources we don't own. But that's actually one of the benefits, because Primo is such a big search that it searches the library's books. It also searches the library's databases, but it also searches other libraries that we don't even, that aren't our libraries, so that we can borrow stuff from other people. So basically, that is to broaden the availability of access to you for basically any source that you might want. However, if you don't need a wide net, if you only need 2 articles or 1 book or something like that, you can use it for that too. So say that, do you guys have any specific topics you're working on right now that I could use as examples? Daniel, it's called Nexus Uni now, I believe. And yes, we do have that. Okay, free speech. We actually just got some new books in on this. So I'll show you how I would tackle that, which is a big topic. I'm going to go over to Primo. So we're starting in our research guide, and see where it says Primo right here. I'm going to click there and access. You can also get to Primo from the library homepage, which looks like this. Sorry, it's loading kind of slow for some reason. Primo is this search bar on the library homepage. It's also, you can get to it by just clicking search there. So this is the Primo page. It's your main homepage for your personal library account. You see how my name is appearing in the top right? That means I'm already signed in to my account, and I can look at my account. I can look at my favorites that I've saved, my RefWorks account, which forms a bibliography for me from my references. I can look at books I have loaned to me, special requests that I've made. So you want to be signed in. If you're signed into Primo, then you can save things, you can access things. Now, free speech is such an interesting topic. So you could just put in a simple phrase, free speech. And I'm going to put it in quotation marks because quotation marks tell the search engine that I want this exact phrase in this exact order and the 2 words next to each other like that. So that will help me focus on that one phrase, because I know a lot of people use that phrase, right? And you could also think of alternate terms like First Amendment, or put in the wording of the First Amendment, or put in freedom of the press as well. Censorship could be a related term. So you want to brainstorm possible terminology. And you could also, if you want to expand the search, do free speech or freedom of the press or censorship. And then you could put in related terms like cancel culture, or what kind of free speech are you referring to? Are you referring to our legal right to free speech, or just a general culture of free speech, like, you know, whether social media should be censored and things like that? You know, so you can add more terms to specify more what you're looking for. But let's try this, because this is going to be a big search. I'm going to show you how big a search Primo can do, and then how to narrow it down and kind of work with that search, because it's going to be really big. And how to find good quality sources as well. So now I could, if I want to be really specific, I could refer to maybe some of the free speech issues that have come up recently, like having to do with Twitter and Facebook censoring information at the government's request, or Google, or the recent ABC kerfuffle, although that will not be in academic sources yet because it just happened a few weeks ago, but it would be in newspaper sources. And that ABC event, we could just research the FCC in general and the FCC's rules about free speech, so that we can kind of understand, you know, what rules do the FCC have on TV stations and things like that. So that would be a way to focus it too. But let's see how many sources we get if we just don't focus it at all. If we just, sorry, I don't really need the word and there because I'm not putting any more terms. All right, so notice how I put these terms with an or between them. That tells the search engine that I want alternate terms. I only need one of these terms. So it's a really broad net. Now I'm getting 1,700,000 results. That's a lot, right? So it's a very broad search. So what I recommend doing is, you can add more keywords if you know you want to focus it more, but I like starting with a real general search like this so that I can see what's out there. Like, I just want to see the latest books on free speech, for example. And so to do that, if I want to see the latest books, I can put a date filter here, like just since 2020 or just since 2016 or something like that, and then refine it by date. Okay, so now I've got a date filter on. And that's going to be good if I want to research free speech in reference to a specific event, right? Or at a specific time in history, like right now, for example. So that's one way to do it. If I'm in a hurry or I don't want to have to request anything, I'm assuming a lot of you might be distance students, although let me know if you're local, because I can sort of craft this for either way. But if you're local, you can easily come to the library to get print books. But if you're not local, you can have them mailed to you very easily too. So either way, you have access to everything in the library. So don't worry about that. So one thing that I would recommend doing, because Regent is a Christian school and we have a very unique collection of books here that's more, has a very certain perspective that might be different than than the general databases, because the databases we subscribe to are just generic. They're like things that other libraries have too. But our book collection is kind of unique. Like, we have faculty books on free speech. We have things that are kind of special to our library, if that makes sense. So what I might do is click held by the library in print as my filter. And that will give me physical books that we have in the library and from the last 7 years. So that's going to be a way of narrowing it down. And you have to be creative based on your topic, like what would work for your topic. In this case, I think print books, because there have been some really important print books, like just books that come out recently on this topic, and some by our faculty. So notice these are things from the last 7 years. These are all things we have in print. One of them is on our new book display right now, so we just got it in. This one is free speech and hate speech, the limits of toleration. So it looks like some really good stuff there in free speech, just by adding these two filters, the dates and the print book filter. Now, what if you want to get one of these books? If you're here, you can go to the library and get it. You can either go to the general collection, the new book display, or the law general collection. Our law library is separate from the regular library, but it's in the same building, and you can go in there as a student and get books from there if you live close by. but this one is in the physical library, like our new book display. So if you're interested in this book and you live far away, you can request Regent's copy and put home address, and then you can put your home address in the comment, or they'll use the one that's on file, I think. Or you can request a PDF of a chapter. Like if you just want to read chapter 1 of this book and see what it's all about, or you only need one chapter of it, and then you just click copyright law awareness and then click send, because they can't copy the whole book for you, but they'll copy part of it, 10% or one chapter. And then you can also click on the author's names in the subject. Notice the publisher too. Who the publisher is will tell you a lot about the book, like whether it's an academic book, maybe what political perspective it has, what religious perspective it has. You can look up the publisher if you don't know about that publisher. But in this case, these two are both lawyers, and I think one of them is conservative and one is liberal, which is kind of interesting. They decided to get together and write about this. And then you can click on their names and see other things they've written, for example. So it's easy to access anything that we have in Primo, even if it's not an online book. No, there's no cost, Abby. Great question. The only cost that you would have to incur is if you do have the book mailed to you, you have to mail it back and pay the postage on the return, unless you can come in person to return it at some point. Other than that, there's no cost. The PDFs of chapters are totally free as well. Now, if you don't want to pay for that postage to return, or you need this book more quickly than having it mailed to you, which will take like 2 days usually, you can request that we purchase an ebook, especially since you're a grad student, you have special privileges. If you really need this book for your research or an article, you can request that we purchase it for you as an ebook, so that you can read it online right away. You don't have to wait, and you don't have to limit yourself to just one chapter. So if you wanted to do that, for example, this one, you could click any of these links, like get physical copy or need chapter, for example, and then just put a special comment in there. Prefer ebook if possible for graduate research, something like that. And then click send. So does that make sense? You can also email fulfillment@regent.edu if you have any questions about special requests. So that would have to do with mailing, purchasing, digitizing PDFs, anything that you need to request. They are your people. I don't have access to that system, but I can tell you about it. But they are your people if you actually need the request fulfilled or have a question about it. So that's how you get a print book. And you can see we have a lot of really interesting print books here, see? Now, what if you can see this one that says course number 10. That means a professor is using this book in a reading list. So that could show you that it's a good book, right? That it's like a professor is using it in a course. Daniel, if you order it Monday through Friday, it will be pretty fast. On the weekends, not as many people are working on that, but it depends also if we own the book or if we have to get it from another library first and then send it to you. But I have gotten books from other libraries within 1 day before, but I live here. If you're waiting for it to be mailed, it could be only a couple days. It could be a week. It depends on how fast the other library is too. So I can't say exactly, but if you have a little bit of time, don't be shy about it, because it doesn't take a super long time, if that makes sense. Yeah, and that, Daniel, that's a great question. If the book is in our library and somebody else has it checked out, you want to use those blue boxes to request it from another library. So we will send you another copy from another library. Okay. Now, but don't be afraid to also request the chapter PDF too. Now, what if you know that you have a specific author that you're looking for? You can also add in the author's name through the advanced search by changing the field that you're searching within. This is any field, so this is searching for these words in either the title, the author, or the abstract, which is the summary of the book. You can also search for a specific author, like I know there was Kirsten Powers wrote one a few years ago. Can we help if I spelled her name correctly? There it is, number 6. So just using this one as an example, you can use these blue links. These are for getting it from another library. If we own it, they'll be in green links. And now notice with this book, it's suggesting other books that are related. So that can be helpful. It tells you about who the author is and her qualifications, her credibility. It gives some reviews at the bottom. It gives you some keywords to try that you can click on here. And it also often suggests other books on the same topic. So it also gives you chapter titles if you just want to request one chapter as a PDF. So say that, you know, just one chapter sounds interesting to you, or you really need the whole thing. You just really need it fast. Then you could do a chapter. All right, now I'm going to switch gears a little bit here to show you how to use other filters. So over here for material type, see where it says articles, book chapters, books, ebooks, dissertations, government documents, magazine articles, reference entries, reviews, videos. Now, if you're looking for academic sources, which I know most of your professors want academic sources, right? They want peer-reviewed scholarly sources. So what I recommend is using the filters for articles, books, book chapters, and ebooks, those 4 filters. You can also try dissertations. And some of the other ones might be helpful, like government documents, but that's more of a primary source. And so if you're looking for an academic source, you want to click the articles filter right here. And so that's going to narrow it down to journal articles, which are academic. See where it says peer-reviewed? That means an academic journal article. You can also narrow it down to English language as one of their filters if you're seeing a lot of things in other languages. You can also narrow it down by subject. So you only want to use that if you're seeing a lot of unrelated stuff. Then use this to narrow it down to just your subject. When you're in the articles section, you can also click the online filter if you just want to see articles that we already own. And so now it's going to be all things that are available online, which is a lot. See, we have 206,000 articles that mention these words that are online already. So you don't have to request anything really. But if you find one that we don't have, you can easily request it. With articles, they come very fast. You just click Get Digital Copy. And Kathleen, yeah, like I said, you just pay the return postage. You have to mail it, which is, you know, an odious task in my opinion. But the rest of it is free. Having it mailed to you is free, things like that. But like I said, you can prefer ebook if you really need that whole book. But just keeping in mind that ebooks are not always available for every book, and they're very expensive to buy. So it would usually be for something you really want that whole book and you need it really fast and you're going to use it for your research. But you can, if you don't want to mail it, you can also request a chapter PDF digitally, and then that will be free. All right, so good questions. Yeah, and Myra asks, are ebooks unlimited copies or downloads? It depends on the book. Some have a download option for the whole book. Some allow you to download a section of the book. It just depends on the permission that is given. And sometimes you can download one section and then go back later and download the next section. Also, some books only allow one person to read them at a time online, and some allow unlimited readers. So it just depends on the book. Any other questions on Primo while I'm in here? Primo, like you can see, it has a lot of great tools within it. I'm going to just show you a few more of those to help save time with things like citations and organization of your sources and finding more good relevant sources. So say that I really like a certain article, let's see, add in more terms. Social media. So this is one way to narrow it down, is add more, keep adding more key terms to make it more specific. And then notice a lot of good ebooks and books are coming up here. If I click the articles filter, see this article right here. I don't know why so many are coming up in different languages. That's not usual. I'm just going to narrow it down real quick to make it easier to read the titles. Okay, so English. See where it says social media and press freedom from 2023. So this looks like a good article, although it's from Britain. So I don't know, it might be in reference to British laws, which are completely different from American laws. But say that you just pretend you want to use this. See these red arrows? These will give you more related sources. So if I click this, it's going to give me articles that cited this article or that are cited in this article. So use those red arrows to find more related stuff if you have an article you really like. Another thing you can do is save it to your favorites. So say I really like this article, I'm going to click my pin here, and that's going to fly up to my pinned list of favorites. And then I can go into there anytime and see all my favorites saved. I've got 1,582 things saved as favorites. So I like to label them into folders. See where it says labels on the right? You can add labels. So for example, I could start a folder on free speech. I may already have one actually. So I can click a new label and do free speech. And then it's going to add that label there. And so then later I can go back and find all my sources on free speech that are saved in my favorites or whatever topic it is that I'm working on. So definitely want to try that. And then another great tool we have is called RefWorks. It's a free account that you have as a student that will save all your citations and all your sources and format them into a bibliography for you. So what format do you guys use? Is it AP or APSA or not AP, but APA? And I'll show you an example. Okay, APA. So there's a few ways to get citations. You can actually click this little 3-dot menu and click citation here, and then you'll see a citation for APA, and then you can copy it to your clipboard and paste it into your paper. Or you can click RefWorks, and then I'll show you the RefWorks. See, this is what RefWorks looks like, and this is my account. My name is in the top right here, so I know that I'm signed in. And then I click import, and it's importing that source from Primo. And then I go to last imported, and then I click whatever ones I'm going to use in my paper. So I'm going to select all the sources I have in here, and then click create bibliography. It's set on MLA, so I would just search for APA 7 and change the format. And then it formats it into a reference list in APA format, and then I just click copy to clipboard and paste it into my paper. But I want to double check because there's some errors, like I don't think there should be 2 periods right here. You know, you want to see if there's any errors, but that's RefWorks, so that will save you time, and you can save all your sources. You can even access that after you graduate. So if you want to save all your citations and all your sources for later, that would be a great, yeah, I'll send you the recording after. So RefWorks, the red arrows, saving favorites in the pinned list, clicking the author's name to find more things by the author, clicking the subject heading to find more things about that subject, looking through the book record and it will recommend other books. There's a lot of great tools in Primo that you can see, and then using those filters along the left are essential, and just playing around with keywords and advanced search techniques. So in terms of social media, I could change it to Twitter or X if I want to look at that issue. Now, I'll tell you a secret. Not everything is going to be covered in academic sources because academic writers often have a bias towards one side of things, and also they take a while to publish their work. So, you know, they wouldn't have written about really current events yet. So sometimes you want to go outside of the academic sources and on the internet and see if anyone else is writing about this from a different perspective, like a think tank that's more conservative or, you know, has a different point of view than the academic writers do, or, you know, something like that. So that's okay too. And there's a lot of good stuff out there on the internet. Like I mentioned, you can even find academic research sometimes on the internet. You can find in Wikipedia, you can find references to academic sources. So let me show you that real quick. So say that I'm on the internet and I'm looking at the Wikipedia page on free speech, which, by the way, I was just reading the other day that Wikipedia has its own issues with free speech. That's another issue. But let's click here. If I go down to the bottom, now this article is going to give me some good background information about like the history of the idea of free speech, who first came up with this idea. John Milton was one of them. So it's giving you some good information, some good terminology, talking about hate speech, talking about other issues of today. Now look down here at the bottom. See all these great sources that are referenced? This is like a bibliography for you on your topic, and you can click some of those links. Now, remember I mentioned the libkey nomad tool? I'm going to show you what it does. If we were in Wikipedia, see these links that say view ebook, download PDF, and view ebook, download PDF, and they have this green teardrop with a flame of fire in the middle. All I have to do is click that button and it's going to take me right to this article, which is fabulous. See how fast that was? So that means that I'm getting library access to those sources, the articles and the ebooks, right from Wikipedia or any website that I'm on. It can be Amazon, it could be a newspaper site that will give you access to the library's access to the newspaper. So if you want to get libkey, it's right there in your research guide. Remember I showed you the research guide, see libkey? You just click that and then you click access. And then you select what kind of browser you have, Chrome or whatever, and then you click add to Chrome, and then it will add it to your browser. See the green teardrop I have up there? And you want to make sure it's turned on and turned green. And then that's going to link you to access from our databases, from our ebooks and our articles, if you see them referenced on the internet. So I really recommend getting that because also it saves time. It makes it easier to download PDFs from the library. So that's right there in your research guide. And right on the home page of your research guide. Now I want to show you a little bit more about your research guide here. And I'm going to put the link right here in the chat, or you, like I said, you could just Google Regent University Government Research Guide. Now notice here, so I showed you Primo, I showed you libkey. You also want to link Google Scholar, and this gives you directions for how to link Google Scholar to Regent. There's also a list of government databases. You can either click here or you can click the blue link over here to get to the same place. And then there's the Ask a Librarian page. So I'm going to show you some of these. And then down here, there's some recommended sources in classic political science. So this is a list of faculty books and ebooks on government or political science issues. This is how books in the library are organized into subsections about government issues. These are all of our government journals, which you can browse in Browsine. This is a really fun tool that we have. You can look through all journals about government and political science here and pick your favorites and save them onto your personal bookshelf or save articles from them. So like say you want to stay up to date on capitalism or Chinese political science or something like that. You could save that journal on your bookshelf. So that's called Browsine. There's also some other great recommended sources here about like ancient and medieval political philosophy, the Federalist Papers, other famous books in political philosophy. But let's look at the Ask a Librarian page. So this is where you get help from a librarian. You can sign up for a workshop like the one you're at right now. You can look at FAQs. You can submit a question, email us, do the 24/7 chat, call the library, or make an appointment, which is my personal recommendation, because then we can just work one-on-one about what you can use any of us. Harold is kind of a specialist in government. I work with government. So you can, but any of us will work with you, and you can just select a librarian or a time that works for you. So that's the Ask a Librarian page. It has a lot of great stuff on it. And then the Google Scholar page, you want to make sure it's linked to Regent. You go up into the menu, then down in the settings, library links, And if it's not linked, you would just type in Regent University. So this is a great service that Google provides to search within our databases. So like, I'm going to try free speech and cancel culture. Or we could try like the limits of free speech. Okay, now look at this. See these nice links? These are going to link to our databases because I just linked Google Scholar. This one is a free article online, and then this one is a book. And so for this one, if you wanted to get this book, you could copy the title. It's by a famous lawyer named Alan Dershowitz. And you can even click on it to get a book preview and find out like who the publisher is and things like that. Or you can take the book title right over to Primo and look up the book title and see if we have it. We don't have it. That seems like one I should get for the library. But you can request a chapter or have the book mailed to you anyway, because we can borrow it for you. So that's how to use Google Scholar. And then within the government research guide, there's lots of other great stuff, like how to do current events and news research, foreign policy research, a list of think tanks and policy papers, and how to research them. So you can actually search in here for information from think tank research. And you know, think tanks are very influential organizations that do research that influence politics. There's also websites on US government here and Virginia government, and finding laws and other information from the US government or the Virginia government intelligence studies. And this is a list of recommended sources that's opening right here on intelligence studies and recommended websites. If you go to the current events thing here, it will show you all of our news tools. And I really recommend using this if you need to do current events research. You can do newspaper research in Primo, actually. If you go to Primo and then click newspaper articles at the top, and then you can search within major papers or any newspaper. So you want to do that if you're doing current event research, because it's separate from our regular academic search. And then, by the way, in Primo, you can also use the journal search to see if we own a certain journal or newspaper or magazine. Like if you want to see if we have the Wall Street Journal and, you know, access it, you just look that up there, and then it will take you to the database that publication is in. You can also go to Regent Collections and go to the faculty author collection. We have so many great government professors like Mark David Hall or Eric Patterson that are just really prolific. And you can search within this faculty, like this one's by Mark David Hall, Who's Afraid of Christian Nationalism. We have several on news and media issues. And so that's the faculty author, and we have these all as ebooks. So those tools are all at the top of Primo. But I'm going to go back to our government research guide here. Let's go to the government database page. So these are going to be the main databases you want to use. So remember I said that Primo is a broad search. The databases are focused searches. They're just really on one topic, like just government or just education. So that is really beneficial to you. In addition to using those broad search tools like Google Scholar and Primo, you want to use the focused search tools as well. Now remember, Primo also searches in the databases, so you're going to see some of the same articles, but each database has its own special tools that will help you based on your subject. Myra, I think it's just the day before. You know, it's like, I think a 12-hour delay of when you can make an appointment. All right, so let's look at some of those databases and the good stuff that's in them. All right, let's start with number one here. So the first one, recommended one, so these are kind of in order of how we recommend them, is the EBSCO Political Science. The next one is the ProQuest Political Science. There's also Military and Government, International Security and Counterterrorism, Economic Literature, Statista, which has statistics and reports. This is a fabulous database, Statista. And so I recommend that you explore these. But let's start with the first one here. This is the EBSCO Political Science Complete. We know it's EBSCO because of the green and blue little globe logo. Now, say that we're looking up a topic here, and one of your topics was about political work culture. Does that mean like whether you get in trouble for your political beliefs at work, maybe? So let's see if there's anything on this in here. 77 things came up for work culture. All right, so that's good. So now I'm going to add in some more terms. I'm going to click advanced search and add in political views or beliefs or attitudes and work culture. That brought it down to 3 results that have both of those terms. So I don't know if that's exactly related. I feel like for this topic, you might want to try a business database, because a business database would have stuff on work culture. We can also search a couple databases at once. So let me show you how to do that trick. You click on the name of the database, and then you can search other databases. So for example, business source complete. You could also add in social sciences might be related to this. So let's see if that helps. Yeah, so that brought it up to 137 sources when I added in those other databases. So sometimes you just want to be flexible about where you're looking, because political science might be more focused on government workings, but business would be about work culture. So there's some crossover there. Like sometimes you might want to use a psychology database or a religion database or an education database, depending on what it is that you're looking at. And that's why it's good to use Primo, because it's going to cast that wide net, but it's also good if you want to like just pick a couple databases at once. Another thing you can do here is like try other terms like political persecution or, you know, freedom of speech in the workplace, repercussions or being punished for your political beliefs. Maybe you could try all different terms. And you can also try the subject's authority, which is where you look up terms. So like, let's see if we can look up, like I'll just try political persecution and see if that's a term that's in here. Oh, look, office politics. That's related. Business and politics could be related. Not that one. Business and politics. And so if I wanted to add these terms to my search, I just click them and then I click add to search. And it's going to add that to my, my search. It says that nothing came up with those queries, but it's giving me some other things that might be related. A new type of office politics. So I would just also look through the results and kind of learn about your topic, what terms people are using, like maybe political attitudes could be something. You can also exclude something if you see a lot of unrelated stuff. Like I saw some articles on climate change, and that's not what I'm researching. So I can also do not climate change. Like I don't want anything on climate change to come up in this search because that's not what I'm looking for. Or like COVID. A lot of articles are all about COVID and how it related to work culture. So if you don't want anything on that, you can use not and exclude that term. So the and, or, and not, those are your operators, and you want to use that to show the search engine the relationship of the terms you're researching. Like, do you want both terms? Then use and. If you want one or the other term, use or. If you want this term but not that term, then use not before the term you don't want. So that's called advanced search options or Boolean operators. All right, let's go back to, so that's how to use the subject's authority to add terms. And that means you're looking for terms that are widely used, because that's going to help you find what you're looking for if you're looking for terms that are widely used. Now, I'll give you a tip. If you're finding trouble with getting things on your topic, use Google Scholar or Google as a starting point, because they will be more flexible and find things related to your topic, even if you didn't use the correct terminology or you didn't, you know, word it exactly right. So, for example, I might do how work culture is affected by politics, and just see what comes up there. Politics in the workplace, an empirical examination. That looks good. So even if you just find one relevant source, that can still be helpful. So I would definitely want to look at this one. And it might just give me like some ideas, even if it's too old of an article. It might give me ideas about like what terms to use or what authors to look at, or what classic texts I could use. All right, so let's see. Going back to the government and the government databases page here. Let's look at this next one, political science database. So this is a ProQuest database. So you can see it looks different. It has like this turquoise type teal colored stripe on the top. ProQuest is different because it searches for your terms in anywhere, meaning it searches the whole article for your terms. Now that could be good because it can find things that don't have the term in the title, but it can be bad too because they might not really be relevant to you. So you can actually change in ProQuest the search from anywhere to anywhere except full text, which I like to do, because then anywhere except full text means it's just searching the title and the abstract, which is going to be more focused and more relevant. But you can try both. So like say we're trying here, like free speech limits. Like what are the limits of free speech? Like some people might say hate speech, or some people might say threats or lies or defamation would be a limit of free speech, or obscene speech, and you can try all those terms as well if you're interested about what the limits are, or what regulations there are in free speech is another word you could try. Okay, now this one is from the Big Brother Watch Team. So that's actually from an internet source, the CE think tank Newswire. It's not an academic source, but notice how it's taking a different point of view. Sometimes you want to look at those other, because some academic writers might actually be in favor of free speech, or in favor of censorship. So if you want a pro-free speech voice, you might need to look outside of the academic sources, sadly. But then let's see, ProQuest. But if you want academic, you just click scholarly journals there. There's always a filter for scholarly or academic, like in EBSCO, you can click peer reviewed right here as your filter to limit it to scholarly. Here you click scholarly journals. So now it's just academic journals. This one's from Cato Journal, which is libertarian. So they're going to be very pro-speech, actually, very pro-free speech, actually. Does the IRS limit free speech? That's an interesting question. Regulating hate speech. We can also limit by year to get more recent. We can limit by subject or location, like what country is this about? United States, I'm assuming. So I'm going to click that. So that narrows it down a little bit. So just try to explore these filters. Also, what person, free speech about these specific people right here. So every database is going to have its own special tools and filters that you want to kind of get to know, especially the main databases for your topic and your subject. Also, we have great news databases. I'm going to show you that really quick. Let's see. It's also in your government guide. See where it says current events. So I'm going to show you this great database called Factiva, is where you can see your daily papers every single day. Oh, it looks like it's having maintenance on the database, but you can take my word for it. Or no, that was just a notice about later. Sorry. Okay, so this is the top headlines of the day. So if you've ever wished you could subscribe to every newspaper and magazine, or major ones, this is the answer to your wish. You can also click Switch Factiva, and it will, when you do Switch Factiva, it shows you the front pages of the newspapers. So it's really cool. You can browse through the headlines on the front pages of all these 3 major papers. You can also look in other sections. This is all the front page articles. You can look, see where it says front page, you can switch to one of the other sections in the paper, or you can search, like, were there any articles today on Gaza? Sure there are. That's not a great search because it's very vague, but you could add in some more terms there. So that's the Factiva database, which is your daily news. And then someone asked about LexisNexis. So I'll show you the Nexis Uni database. This is a really good one for government. It has tons of legal, government, news, and business related sources. It's a very big news and business, but also government and law type database. You can also research specific people, like famous people in the government here or in business. So that's Nexus Uni. And there's just a lot of great stuff in your research guide that I would explore in that government research guide. Well, I think that I've covered every tool and little tip that I wanted to cover, although I know it was fast, but you can see I had to kind of squeeze it in. We only have a few minutes left, but if you have any questions or if you have any like topics that you're stumped with or just anything about how the library works, I can help you with that, or recommendations. Oh, by the way, I also, the person that was doing the free speech topic, I have a reading list that I've made of sources on free speech. So I can send you that if you want me to. Sometimes librarians make reading lists of recommended sources on a topic. So for example, here's my reading list on abortion, on euthanasia, on sexual ethics, technology and its impact, death penalty, free speech. There we go. So I'll put the link to that in here, and it has 30 sources that I've saved about free speech. I'll put that in the chat right there. And this is a big topic right now, Myra. There's so much coming out about it from different points of view, different angles, some to do with businesses like social media, some to do with the government, some to do with both. Anyone have any more questions? I always have to apologize about the speed of just having to go fast, but hopefully, you know, you can watch the video again or just email me if you have any questions or things you can't remember, things like that. So I'll send you the video and some of the links to these things in an email later today. Recommendation? Well, that list would be a good recommendation on those topics. And just we can meet and look for more options and just kind of, if you want to let me know more about your focus, or you can email me if you want to let me know more about what exactly about free speech you're researching. I can try to tailor it more for that. Oh, by the way, let me put my email in here, and I'll include it in the other email too. All right, well, thank you so much for coming, everybody. Thank you. You're sweet.